Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. And I have absolutely no reason why I haven't recorded. I've just been procrastinating, and bear with me, I've forgotten completely how to record, so I'm going to keep looking at myself in the viewfinder and looking at the lens. So thank you for all of those 18 subscribers that I seem to have, for sticking with me. You've probably forgotten me completely. If you're interested in books or you want to get inspired, then keep watching. The thing with a reader is you do go through your highs and lows in reading. And then I finally said to myself, I love reading, and I think I'm going through a slump, and I've got to get inspired. And I started watching lots of booktubers. There's different genres that I needed to explore, and I knew that I was changing as I got older. I decided that that was the best thing that I could do, and try different books and get myself interested and inspired. I dedicate time to reading, and that is how I'm getting through so many books. I've read quite a bit for someone who takes ages in reading, but the first book, Disclaimer by Renee Knight. I just finished this, my most recent book, and this is a psychological thriller, and my favourite genre at the minute is crime. This is a psychological thriller. You have the main character plus obviously the perpetrator and their family, and it switches between past and present each chapter, and it's given a perspective from both sides. The good thing with this is it's quite a page turner, but it's very plot driven. It's definitely not fast paced. It's a slow burner. When you think you know the story and it's been uncovered halfway through, there's another twist. But you've got to want to appreciate trying to figure out what's actually going on. The thing with this book is there's so many layers to the character. The perpetrator, you always feel that they're the enemy, and the victim, you need to feel sorry for them. But in this, you actually don't, you can't have those defined feelings for any one of them. You can actually understand the perpetrator and their family situation and completely understand what's going on with the victim, and I would definitely recommend this. Next book is Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo, and this got many awards, and it's a brilliant book. It's set in Nigeria with the backdrop of a lot of political unrest in the 80s. It's about, quintessentially about this woman who marries a man, and they have a love affair, and they're happily married, but she's unfortunately not able to give him children. The in-laws do support her up to a stage, and then they get to a point where they start pressurizing the husband to get married again, so that he can bear children, essentially, including the husband. He's dead against it because he actually really loves her, and he doesn't want another woman to come between them, and she's also dead against it. But he, inevitably, with the cultural pressures and the family pressure, he does marry her, keeps her in a separate apartment completely, and that's where the story unfolds. But it's such a brilliant read. I mean, it's from the perspective of the woman and the man, never what you think it is, and there's so many different twists and turns in this story, and you kind of understand that it's present and past, and in the past, the present, you know that they're estranged and they've obviously separated and parted ways. It's interesting to read it to see how do they get to that stage, because they're so in love. Read in terms of understanding what cultural pressures and things go on in Nigeria, because we get very sort of set in our ways and just live in the world that we're in, and we don't realise that there are other cultures out there and they have traditions and pressures that go on. I read this a few months back, and this is actually quite interesting. Crime thriller, I would say they tried. It's whodunit, and then when they actually unfold mystery it's a bit disappointing and a little bit laughable in a way, but I would still say definitely give it a go. It's about a husband and wife. They've been married for a number of years. In particular, the beginning of the book, the husband has picked up the son from school, and his wife's at work. He's going home, and he sees his wife driving to a hotel. So he doesn't suspect anything, but the son starts saying, I want to see mummy, I want to see mummy. So they go, and that's where the story unfolds, because she's not where she's meant to be. She's with a best friend's husband, and there seems like there's an altercation that takes place, and he becomes a suspect for a murder, and it's really interesting the way the story unfolds. You can straight away sort of have your suspicion. It's a good read. Let down at the end, definitely. It's in secret. Now, if any of you watched The Big Little Lies earlier this year, this is sort of the adaptation of that. I would say Big Little Lies was much better. because it had Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman, and you can't go wrong with that. But this is essentially a story of a small town, a village in a way, and they all know one another, and it's a lot like a sort of curtain twitcher, sort of what's going on in their lives. And ultimately the story is based on 20 years ago there was a murder that happened in the town, and they all sort of are linked to that story in a way, and each character has depth to them. There's a lot more layers to them. It doesn't all seem like what it is. They're not all rich wives married to their husbands and having a brilliant life. There's a lot more going on with them. And one of the girls from the town actually moves away and has quite good success in her life, and ends up coming back because her husband's had an extramarital affair. And it's parallel stories of the rest of the characters plus her adapting back to that town, and sort of understanding the people that she left behind, her ex-boyfriend, and sort of reliving the tragedy that did happen. And obviously there's a mystery that unfolds earlier on in the book, which is really disappointing. And I thought, well, they've let it on earlier on in the book, so obviously there's going to be another twist or there'll be something, and it ends up being really disappointing, because once you've given the mystery away, unless the character build up or the plot or the reason why it happened builds up a bit more, it just felt like, I don't know why I've carried on reading it. I think I wanted to be loyal and maybe give it a chance, but it was a good book halfway through, the build up to until the mystery unfolds, and then it sort of was a bit of a let. But I'm actually wondering, you know, I'm doing really well in terms of reading. Other books that I want to read, and this is Deborah O'Connor, my husband's son. And I'm going to read you the blurb because I can't remember what this is about. So Heidi and Jason aren't like other couples. 6 years ago, Heidi's daughter was murdered. A year later, Jason's son Barney disappeared. Their shared loss brought them together. By chance, Heidi meets a boy she's certain is her husband's long missing son, but Jason is equally convinced it's not him. Is Heidi mad, or is Jason hiding something? Fragile marriage and finding out the truth. Crime thriller with the backdrop of a marriage and matrimonial maybe pressures. So I do enjoy these kind of books. This is one that I'm going. This book was actually £8, and I got it for £1.50, and it goes to Heart Foundation. So really, the Roanoke Girls. It's basically about a family, the Roanoke family, and all the girls either run away or die. And Lane is one of the lucky ones. When she was 15, she runs away and gets completely away from this curse that's on the family, until 10 years later when her cousin Allegra goes missing, and Lane has no choice but to go back. So what is the story between this legacy of the family, and why do all of the girls either run away or die? Very pleased with that. I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know how good I was at explaining the books, but I'm not going to criticize myself. So if you enjoyed this video and you would like to be inspired about reading more, then please do put some comments down below, subscribe, like this video if you can, and I will inevitably try and put more videos up. I hopefully will see you all very soon.